Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I hope everyone is doing well tonight. And I just barely got up. A second night in a row, I had my broadcast wiped out and I had to redo my studio and retrieve my thumbnail. So it's something bizarre going on. I think it's more of a technical thing than anything else, I hope. But anyway, I am here. Ha ha. And let's see. Gary started off with a ha ha for me too. Wayne said, give me a thumbs up. And Sissy's here. Todd's here. It's getting good. Hold on to your hats. That's right. Buckle up. Robin, nice to see you. Colette, Darla. So it's nice to see everybody. Boy, I remember before I did broadcasts, I used to be guests on other people's channels. And many of you remember Liberty Warrior Network. How many of you remember that? Hi, Miss Sue, Sherry, Benjamin, Todd, David, Darla, nice to see you all. How many of you remember that Liberty Warrior Network? I ought to pull up that broadcast and get a clip out of that, because so many things I've said, it's just, people could say, oh, it was a premonition. Oh, it's a prophet. No, we're not prophets. I'm not a prophet. You're not a prophet. I just had my ear to the ground, okay? I didn't make snap decisions. I didn't sit on pins and needles. I used to. But then I started looking at things and researching and reading and going into the 17th letter. And so I could spot BS and I could tell what was going on. But I said back then on Liberty War Network, Melinda remembers it. I said back then, 3 years ago, I'm pretty sure. Is my broadcast coming through good? Because my things are jittery here. And I just hope it's not being buffered or anything. But anyway, I said, among a great many other things, I said right now they used to call it Intel, remember? Intel. Everybody's channel said Intel. And everybody would run to the channel that said they had Intel or sit rep, like Monkey Works. Situation report. So I went on there. I said, look, everything right now is coming out drip, drip, drip. People want answers. People are antsy. I said, but be patient, because there's gonna come a time when the drip, drip, drip turns into a fire hose. That's exactly what I said 3 years ago. Now we're seeing it. We're seeing the fire hose, the blizzard of information. That's what the term Joy Reid used. Of all people. Of course, she was putting out her bile and vitriol and misinformation. And she said the opposition was tongue-tied. And I was putting up my title for this broadcast. I put tongue-tied tyrants in capital letters. And I think that's one of the reasons my broadcast may have gotten rejected. And I had to redo my studio over again and retrieve my thumbnail. So I toned it down a little bit. I just said tongue-tied and squirming. But I heard someone talking about USAID's, they purposely made that title misleading, like they do bills, Protect the Children bill, which includes castrations and double mastectomies when you're 9 years old. That's not protecting the children. But they put a title on there saying, you don't want to protect the children? You don't want to have USAID? So that's why I tongue-in-cheek called USAID, okay, which is a acquired immune deficiency. It's something that harms your ability for your body to protect itself, your immune system. And that's exactly what this program, if you can call it that, did. Got into the natural defenses, constitutional defenses of the body politic, and infected it and lowered its ability to defend itself, prevent the spread. Okay, so oh boy, did it spread. How much money? Have you all been listening to all the crazy stuff coming out about it? You know, I could go on. I could read a list. Did you see John Kennedy talking about the stuff that was in this monstrosity? But how much was it? 500 billion, I think, for expired programs. They just kept writing checks. Kept writing checks. Nobody auditing, no way to audit, no way to check where the money went once it went overseas. And you had people like Georgie Porgy Sorioso. I want to thank y'all for the 5x5s. I was in the middle of my babbling, but I see I got a good signal. Let's see. Pappy Two Bears, how you doing? Flannel Cheese, nice to meet you. Oh yeah, we haven't seen anything yet. Boy, it's gonna get real. It's gonna get real. Ha 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 ha. Well, the clones. Yeah, they have a short life. Well, Joe Biden put out, Trump put out a truth about Colonial Joe. Whoa, holy cow. It's hard for me to go out of my studio because I have an unstable situation here, but I have incredibly high internet speed, which I said before. I found that when things of portent were happening, that I think they're goosing up the internet speed nationwide. I think, as I said, when Trump left for Mar-a-Lago after his first term, they took IP addresses equal to 1/3 of the existing internet infrastructure, brand new, released by the Department of Defense, all down to Mar-a-Lago with him. So I think when things are happening of moment, okay, momentous things are happening, they goose up that internet. So that's what's going on now. I just don't know what the situation is with this particular platform. But I have found out that StreamYard has a farther reach for some reason than my picture show platform. And that usually gets restricted for some reason. And I am always dealing with copyright issues. Partial blockage on my last picture show, which these things happen at like 4 a.m. And this old man is out like a light. And nothing I could do about it anyway. But, you know, that is when surprises happen in the wee hours of the morning. And you do broadcasts, you get to prepare for it. It takes hours and hours. You get prepared for it. Then you actually have to do the broadcast. And then you wonder, well, then I have to upload it to Rumble if I'm not simulcasting. And that takes time. And I have to type in everything in the title and the description and put it all up in Rumble and wait for it to upload and all. Then the old man finally gets to go to bed after I feed Sadie and rub her little head. And who knows what's going to happen overnight? Who knows? Boom, is your channel going to get taken down because some blue-haired, skinny jean freak with a nose ring decide they didn't like what you said? I don't know. Go to sleep. Try to get some sleep. Oh, are you blocked partially worldwide because you played the song for 22 seconds out of an hour and a half broadcast? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Well, I got some surprises I'll talk about later. A big surprise. And something I'll address later in the broadcast, which has to do with buy me a coffee. And I want to thank Mike and Bev once again for helping sponsor this program tonight, for going to buy me a coffee. And everybody through the week was Norm, Hebrew Hammer, Hilarious, Holofix, also known as Yen, Lone Wolf, and Hebrew Hammer. Okay, I really appreciate it. So anyway, I had an adventure with that is causes some problems. But I do want to tell you about Buy Me a Coffee. I said I don't use PayPal because they had, in the past, unfairly blocked creators, that there was some other suspect activity after Elon sold it, okay, with the PayPal, and I only have that for emergencies. I never use it because of the censorship and because of their behaviors having to do with people that are too young. But anyway, it's a Japanese company. By the way, Mr. T had his first meeting with the Prime Minister of Japan. Ishiba Shiru, I think his name is. What a nice press conference. Of course, the mainstream media doing their little lame efforts to trip up Mr. T or ask an embarrassing question, things that the American people are not interested in. And Trump is saying, but hey, well, I'll get to that in a minute. But I was talking about Buy Me a Coffee. It's a Japanese company. They have very high standards, okay? And they make sure whoever is using their platform is legitimate. And, you know, if someone makes an intimation that you're illegitimate, that you are sending out bad products or something like that, they're going to check it out. And that takes precious time, okay? So anyway, I was doing my broadcast last night, and I was telling people to use discernment. Discernment, when we think about the punishment for some of these people that are due punishment, a comeuppance, you know? And I was counseling against knee-jerk reactions, all right? Because once you do something, you can't take it back. Every action has an equal and positive reaction, right? So if you want to be a leader, if you want to be a person of dignity in your authority, you have to use discernment, and you have to deal with the situation from a sense of justice, not revenge, not what feels good, not doing what you do just because you can. And so apparently, and I said, people with hard hearts, you know, not to have a hard heart, but to be as sharp as a serpent's tooth, but as innocent as a lamb. But apparently that kind of talk does not get through to some people, and they make mistakes. And when you slap somebody in the face, you can't make up for it by giving them a pat on the head if you are in the wrong. So, just a little bit of information for you all to think about with your future interactions with people. The last perfect person got crucified. Nobody's perfect. If you do knee-jerk actions, you may do something that you can't take back. and you can't make right. So anyway, so what did Trump announce when he met with the Prime Minister of Japan? What did the Prime Minister of Japan announce? Let me see if anybody's mentioned anything about that press conference. And who did I miss? Debbie. Oh, Greenland. Yeah, Debbie. Greenland would make a fabulous detention center. The waterfront areas where the climate's more temperate would make a great resort area. But get some ski slopes and stuff like that. But farther up in there where it gets real icy, great detention center, really good. So we'd have one at the top of the globe and one down there on Guantanamo Bay. Word is we got one down there off the tip of Argentina. So we have one at the top of the globe, the equator, and down at the bottom of the globe. Where you want to go? How bad did they do? Oh, they were real bad. Okay, you're going to Greenland. Well, this one wasn't too bad. And they got a 10-year sentence, and they didn't really purposefully hurt anybody. Okay, they can go to Guantanamo Bay. So anyway, yeah, Dean, I hear you. Tired of being a nice guy, but we are civilized, and we want to mete out justice as if we were the ones that were accused. And I've been meaning to tell a quick story, about the genesis of the laws of war. Modern day, not just laws of war, military code of conduct, okay, and foreign relations, things like that. We know that George Washington was a precedent setter. Many things he did set precedent, like 2 terms, for example. But just a quick reminder, now because I talked about it in past broadcasts, he was a young lieutenant in his 20s, and there was an incident with the French. The French and the Indians were teaming up, and conflicts with the colonists or England, and there was an infamous occurrence where a member of the Continental Army, or number of them, got some French POWs and tortured them. And it's a historical fact. And it's referred to in the Mel Gibson movie, which was the one he did with the Revolutionary War. What was it? Patriot. And it was horrible, infamous. I mean, they were brutal. And like 6 months or a year after that, George Washington was sent up north, I think outside of Pennsylvania. I'll get the story one time and read it to you. The Patriot. Yeah, thank you, Todd. And he ended up getting captured at a French fort. Like I said, he was only like 21 or 22 years old. Can you imagine how being in the middle of nowhere in the wilderness, this infamous story is going around about, I believe it was a massacre that included torture of French soldiers by American colonists. And boom, here you got this wet behind ears young lieutenant. His knees must have been cracking. I know he's a brave man, but they treated him with dignity. And he got back, came back, exchanging messages. But that had to have been a terrifying moment. He explained the commander of the French group said what an awful barbaric act it was, and basically lectured them on being soldiers and officers. And I guess bringing that message of shame back, we know what you did, what your men did. If we were barbaric, we'd take it out on you. But they didn't. And I think that left an impression on George Washington. So you don't want to, no, George Washington didn't deserve that because he didn't participate in the massacre. But throughout history, how many times have there been tit for tats like that? And I think it got Washington to inflect about the need for a more codified laws of armed conflict. So anyway, we are just now learning the surface of the offenses that have been committed and the import. Remember, this USAIDs, we know about Sesame Street. We know about, I think it was one transgender guy in Peru got fake upper chest area, and it was $2 million for one. So we're learning that insane amount of fraud and waste and abuse. But now we're finding out that a lot of this money went to go to regime change, to fund opposition parties, and I think it's going to be tied into successful and attempted assassinations of heads of state. We know it was used to overthrow the Ukrainian government to install Zelensky. We know it was used to overthrow Bolsonaro's, who was 4 years prior stabbed. I had that on a thumbnail when he was actually getting stabbed. And it's in my video library, especially on Rumble. We know that they orchestrated the Brazilian J6. What are we going to find out about our J and then 6? These gift cards that they're giving out. I saw a video of somebody in front of City Hall in Los Angeles. Maybe many of you saw it too. A guy getting run down by a mob and kicked and stomped. And they were carrying Mexican flags, flag of Mexico, on U.S. soil right in front of City Hall. What if their transportation for these people to get to these locations? What if they're getting issued gift cards like we found out happened with many of the air quote protesters? Were getting gift cards to help sustain them, pay for their travel, pay for their meals, pay for their services. What if that gets tied back to USAID? FICO, remember him? Over there in Eastern Europe? I played a video where he got SHOT 5 times and he survived. What if the person involved has ties back to this USAID? And I believe it will be proven. I think it will be proven. I think that's all grounds for a military commission to investigate. Take it outside of the civilian realm. Hi, Tracy. How you doing? Television shows. How you doing? Greg, how are you? Joshua, nice to see you. Yeah. Island Girl, nice to see you also. Cheryl's here. Nice to see you. Chris is here. Elon is doing, Elon's going to have ads during the Super Bowl. Oh, bigger than the Super Bowl, right, folks? What is going to be bigger than the Super Bowl? That's another little question we were wondering about as to the 17th letter. I think we solved the B-2 stealth bomber with 8 letters coming in and giving us booms. I solved that, I believe, last night. Use my fingers, count them off. E-L-O-N, that's 4, M-U-S-K. Oh, that 8 letters. Yeah, remember? You all were with me when we figured that out. So anyway, so now we got, we're going to be tying more things together. And I was talking to one of the people discussing USAID's referred to Trump crushing the head of the snake. And I talked about that story with the Miracle at Lourdes, where one of the, no, I'm sorry, it was the, what was it? Fatima. One of the secrets of Fatima was that Mary told the children she'd already crushed the head of the snake, but she was worried about losing millions of people to suffering from war. But that she said that the head of the snake was already crushed. So I found that to be interesting terminology, but we definitely found, as Trump called it, fertile ground, and that he'd be continuing to target certain areas that would be even more fertile ground for fraud, corruption, uncovering these things. And I know you all saw, somebody said Maxine's face is melting. I got that freeze frame in the thumbnail where she can't open both her eyes at the same time. She opens one, the other one. Did you ever have see a girl playing with a doll and the eyes would open and close? When you picked the doll up, the eyes would open. When you laid the doll down, the eyes would close. Well, after a while, you'd pick the doll up and one eye would stick shut, and the other one would open, the other one would open real slow. Well, that's kind of like where Maxine's at. So in the thumbnail, you see her one eye open, the other one's trying to open, and she's pointing her finger at that young man standing in her way. So what I put in my thumbnail, they said, "What do you think we are? Thieves and thugs?" We're not thieves and thugs. Oh, you're not? Oh, really? So I put thieves and thugs in the thumbnail, along with people, who was what that young man represented. No, you shall not pass. The other thing Trump said, that they were going to do surgical removal. Did you all catch that? Because they were talking about the FBI. And he's, of course, other agencies, CIA. And he said, no, not all of them are corrupt, but some of them are, and they'll be surgically removed very quickly, he said. And, of course, there's lawsuits flying around. But I reminded everybody of Trump's favorite president, one of his favorites. He always got a picture of Andrew Jackson behind him when the Supreme Court put down an order. He said, "Oh, okay, where's their army?" "Oh, okay, where's your army? We're going to do what we want." So, yeah, that's going to be the same situation here. They may slow down a few things, but and it may lead to a constitutional crisis where it's just going to have to get taken care of the hard way. That's what Trump said before. We don't want to do things the hard way, but sometimes we do. Hi, KNS Cleanup. How you doing? Yeah. Well, I'm sure there are people in witness protection, a great many of them. But I'm also of a mind, like a lot of people in the chats are, that some people have already been dealt with. Some people have already been dealt with. Did you hear Trump call Maxine a lowlife during the press conference? This was in front of international press. He said, "Well, she's just a lowlife. We're stripping away their false dignity." I found it. I saw one video short that what was the term they used? Anxiety. That this one woman was sitting there scratching her head, and they said, "This woman's suffering from anxiety." And you played the short, and they "Well, how do you feel about Donald Trump?" Oh gosh, it's just so scary. It's awful. All the things that he's doing. Oh, he's going to destroy democracy. And the person interviewing said, "Well, what makes you think that? All the stuff the media's been saying has been proven not to be true." "Oh, dude, that's not so. I just can't believe this is horrible what this country's going through." He said, "Well, what do you watch, MSNBC, CNN?" And she said, No, I don't watch them. I watch PBS and BBC." That's what she said. This person suffering from high anxiety, who thinks the country's going to hell with all the successes, all the normalcy that's being restored. She thinks it's a crisis because she's watching PBS and BBC, all of whom are propped up by USAID. So, yeah, it's called psychological warfare. Psychological warfare. I had another, if I can find without getting dropped off my broadcast, I'm going from memory. I will have to try to find it, where a podcast with a psychologist, I'll just go from memory, said that his patients shot up. I don't know what the percentage is that he is treating for anxiety. They're all freaking out. Well, Dean, what do you want to do? You said no more Mr. Nice Guy. I tell you, we're going to be nice guys when we impose justice. Because what we've said many times on this broadcast, mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent. So we're not going to have mercy. We're not just going to say, "Oh, forget about it." Like I said, you can't straighten out a slap in the face with a pat on the head. Oh, I gave you for out of the blue, I wrapped you in the mouth. Now I'm going to pat you on the head a little bit. Is everything okay? No, it's not okay. Like Kennedy said, two wrongs don't make a right, but it does make it even. Even. But that's under the premise that lawful retribution is a wrong. No, it's not. It's not a wrong. It's the right thing to do. Like most parents, if they have to discipline their child, they don't want to fan their little rear end. But if they keep getting too close to the river when you're not looking, or if they, mess around with fire, if they've been told not to, you got to fan that backside. They don't want to do that. Nobody wants to see their child embarrassed or crying. But if you continue to let them do the wrong thing with no punishment, one day you're not going to be around, and they're going to get burned, or they're going to be floating face down. And end of story. So, as a society, we have to mete out punishment, not just to protect the innocent, but to help people that, with the proper guidance, would not be guilty in the first place. Not be guilty in the first place. Because some people do things because they just don't know any better. They've been taught wrong. How many kids think that it's okay to strive to have irreversible surgery when they're 10 or 11 years old? That is learned. That is being taught by someone. That doesn't mean the child is the one with the problem. It's the person raising them. Same thing with a society. USAID was promoting discord, tumult, like Bukele said, opposition parties, funding malcontents, miscreants, and ne'er-do-wells, misfits to disrupt. And I'm wondering, when is the strings going to be attached, or the what Trump called an intricate web, not a tangled web, an intricate web, going to get to the source, which is what I think is Trump alluded to, was prohibited in the Constitution, the state sponsoring a religion. The state starting its own religion. That's what we're looking at. And there are a couple of tenets of this religion that, if they were blunt about it, they wouldn't make it 3 feet. And one of those tenets is depopulation. And the other tenet is destruction of the family through hedonism. So both of those precepts are heretical. Heretical. Like I said, we were told, Adam and Eve were told, be fruitful and multiply. The tenet of their religion is no. Not only that, but you end your own child's life. Heretical. Heretics. So it's an establishment of a religion. The church, the government shall not establish its own religion. But that is what they're working on. And I think that's what's going to be put in context. I'm seeing more and more creators also, because it's getting stuck right under our nose. But what I've been saying for years was the end of the 16th Amendment. That was the harbinger, that was the open the gateway to slavery. Was a bureaucratic entity that had the power over the fruits of your labor. So you start to see more and more people, the lights are cutting on. Holy cow. Trump is going to replace personal income tax with tariffs and foreign investment. That's what boy, this has been one heck of a weave, but I get back to the Japanese prime minister. I didn't see anybody guess some of the things that were discussed during the press conference. They're investing $1 trillion. Trump put a stop to the sale of U.S. Steel. He's turning it into an investment by Japan, but the U.S. retains ownership of one of the flagship corporations of this nation. Remember in Godfather 2, Michael, we're going to be bigger than U.S. Steel. When they were trying to put together the Cuba deal, which, you know, any of you all who've seen the movies know what happened there. But anyway, so they saved U.S. Steel and has attracted an initial commitment of $1 trillion from one country. He said last week, I'm looking to get around 6 or 7 trillion this year. And the media is like, oh, why did he talk about 6 or 7 trillion foreign investment? Unheard of. Unheard of. Well, he's more than halfway there. And he ain't over. It ain't over yet. He's gotten commitments from the Saudis, from Japan, that investment group where they, I forget the guy's name, but they let him stand up on a box when he got up to, anyway, they're investing hundreds of billions. With all this stuff going on, the media is focusing on the most ridiculous idiocy. It reminds me of Trump's first term, when someone made the accusation that Trump used the term S-hole. Okay? You all know what I'm talking about. S-H and that's it. Hole. And a senator who was in the meeting say, I'm telling you, he never said that. For 2 days straight, playing in the Burger King on the wall, these widescreen TVs, Don Lemon saying it over and over, S-hole, S-hole, S-hole. At 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning with the place packed with families. Now they're doing the same thing about one of Elon Musk's helpers that used a crass social media handle, not for work, but back when he was 16 years old, it came out. And I don't use that kind of language on the broadcast. And he got embarrassed and resigned. But that is all the media is doing, repeating it. Something that you shouldn't say on daytime television. But they lower themselves. They lower themselves all to discredit this person. He's in his 20s now. He's like 21, 22 years old now. Back when he was 16 years old. That's how damn desperate they are. That's right, David. The initials. BB. So anything to turn people's heads away from the momentous things that are happening. But it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Because word's getting out. You know, they're trying to dox these kids. Just like, did you all catch it when the guy standing in the doorway with Maxine, he was saying as little as possible. He was looking down, he's looking up, and he's just not letting him get by. What's your name? He said, I already showed you my badge. Well, show it to me again, Maxine was saying. She's trying to get him to say his name on national television, to dox him. For what? So he can have a bunch of people with Mexican flags chase him down and beat him in the streets? She knows what she's doing. And so does CNN and MSNBC doxing these kids that are working for Elon Musk. And I'm calling them kids, but they're in their 20s, but they're young men. Smart young men. Oh, they're getting access to your Social Security. They're getting access to your Medicaid information. Do you know what those 80-some thousand IRS agents got access to? Everything. Your bank accounts, your address, your social, everything. On top of the, 60,000 they already have? And most of them that make their way up the ladder in top positions have been favored since the Obama administration if they are, the term Donald Trump used today, militants. Militants. And he used the term radicals. A term I used and was taken down on this platform for a week. But now that I'm quoting the President of the United States, are they going to do it again? Hi, Jerry. Dean, you sinned, you say. You have sinned, you be all right. Just repent and don't do it again. Like Padre Pio said, go clean your filthy soul. It's your soul. You can clean it up. You can make it shiny and new. You know that, don't you? I hope you do know that. That's right, David. You don't get in the door without an appointment. You can't, even if you're a congressperson, the lobby of that building is not for a protest group to come in and babble and jabber and raise hell and make speeches. Hi, Melvita. How you doing? That's right, Gary. Turn Gaza into a utopian hub. I was going to talk about that last night. And they kept on about Palestinians returning. And I went over that last night. You don't want some of these kooks coming back. Not any and all of them. But they even showed aerial pictures of the devastation and destruction. And Trump was saying, who the hell would want to live there? So they want us to rebuild, right? And not have a stake in there, a power over the land. We just rebuild it and then them give us the middle finger and keep doing what they've been doing like hell. If we're going to do any kind of work down there at all, we're in charge. We are in charge. Or you rebuild it yourself. Or you handle it with Bibi Netanyahu. And we'll just let him do whatever he thinks he needs to do.
or we'll rebuild it, but you're going to play by our rules. And yeah, there are nice people that are Palestinian named, even though it's not a race, it's not a recognized nation. But who wants to live with a tunnel under their house full of missiles and bombs? Who wants to go through this crap decade after decade after decade? So we're going to put a stop to it because we can. And we've got enough backing from powerful, wealthy nations that want it to come to a stop too. The main one being Saudi Arabia. And the other stragglers can come along like Egypt, Jordan. So anyway, I'm glad Maxine did not finish her. Now, she's been showing up at all these different piss and moan sessions, Department of Education. Now, Hegseth followed up on Trump's statement that the Pentagon is next. I meant to do a little research, even though I know enough from memory to be confident in what I'm saying. I saw many times in the 17 posts, be the autists that we know that you are. So you can look that up if you want to. Just put in the word autist. It's used a number of times in the 17th post. Now, everybody's got a little autism in them. Not in the clinical sense of, like I used to be able to, somebody would tell me the amount of a mortgage, how many years the mortgage was, and what the interest rate was. Without pen, paper, nothing, I could get the monthly payment within $10. And I guess you could call it a savant ability or autistic ability. But I had been in real estate and real estate finance for many years, and I was just able to do quick calculations. And one guy was smart, trying to be a smart aleck, called me Rain Man. He said, "Who do you think you are, Rain Man?" And man, I turned around and looked at him and said, "There's 1,600 matches on the floor, and I'm a very good driver." If you saw the movie, you get what I'm saying. But anyway, so with the 17th letter, they're saying, be the autist that we know you are. Everybody's got, you've heard of women's intuition, right? That's a real thing. Moms having radar, or super hearing. There's many old sayings and notions that are true. It's that when people apply themselves, we all know that we all use like less than 10% of our brain. I don't know what the rest of it's doing, but we don't use near our potential. But some people tap in through practice, through focus, through intuition, and they can make difficult things look easy. That's an autist. Like somebody who could sit down and, with very little training, play the piano very well. They can glance at music notes and play a song like they've been practicing. So there's a little bit of autism in all of us. And I believe that two people were instrumental in the 17th letter. With there being 5,000 posts, it can't be one person. I know I'm fairly confident in saying I at least know 2 that were doing actual posts on a fairly regular basis. Dan Scavino's one. And who's the second one? Yeah, Miss Minister said, give me some likes. Hi, Tracy. Would have put my face in front of a crime scene. Oh. Well, that's one of the things that they say they always return to the scene of the crime. That's what Maxine was doing. What's the second one, folks? First one I said is Dan Scavino. Well, that's true. Television shows to a certain extent, but there hadn't been a post for 4 years, and there were 5,000 posts. That's a good notion. I'll have to remember that, David. Barron. I don't believe Jack Sobick. Stephen Miller's is a possibility. Gene Ho. I haven't considered that. There's 2 I am fairly positive. One is Dan Scavino, and the second one, see if anybody gets it. But there are some good guesses. Hi, Shine Dixie. How you doing? Oh, come on, gang. See, I'm kind of an autist myself. The question is, Mr. Sue, I said, I know at least, I'm fairly confident of at least 2 people who were directly involved with making the 17 posts over the years. One of them is Dan Scavino. Who's the second one? Pappy Two Bears and Mr. T. He is 17 plus. Remember that. 17 plus. I'm positive of that. And you know how I said you had to see that little chain link? When you click on the chain link on any given post, it'll show you chatter on the board. Some of it is people infiltrating, putting up phony crap. Some of it, people are their statements get pulled out and highlighted on the board. Rogers, oh, okay. JFK Jr., Miss Mindersue says. Melania, Miss Mindersue says. Oh, Sherry said that too. Well, I'll go ahead and tell y'all. I think it's obvious. One of them is Elon. Dan Scavino and Elon. I would bet dollars to donuts that those 2 have been making the majority of the Q posts. And I believe that people that were assisting by putting forth information and asking questions in the background, they were farmed to help with Doge. That's where I believe they got a lot of their assistants and autists. So yeah, Elon's been with this program for a while. That's how he got the money for SpaceX. That's how he became the biggest contractor for the Department of Defense. And remember, the 17 post didn't start till October of 2017. The team was already assembled. And if you have somebody contributing to the page in their comments, and you'll see where someone's work will be highlighted by Q, and they will say, "Good work, Anon. Congratulations." You know, you got because they were correct in what their summation was. I believe they were contacted if they showed a proficiency and a propensity for game theory. Remember, I've said that, game theory. You know what's funny? It was last night and the night before, I mentioned Clarence Thomas. I mentioned it a number of times in the past. Clarence Thomas has said that same-sex marriage needs to be revisited, right? Well, AP put out a little report today. The next day after I bring it up again, just like I kept bringing up about the taxes, just like I kept bringing up that we were going to have to go the whole distance to a new election so the people could claim the victory, AP puts out that Thomas and Alito are discussing their notion that same-sex marriages were improperly decided and needs to be reviewed. The next day after I brought it up. So, you know, I try to give you as honest a view as I can. I don't put up sensational headlines. I resent creators that do and have been doing it for years. And I have people causing me problems. And I'll talk about it in later broadcasts. But people mess with the channel. So, and it's not some deep state people. But I blew up in the past. I said, look, if you're Phil Got a Loose Screw or Michael Jaco or Scott McKay groupie, male or female, just don't come to my channel. Because I'm not going to jerk people's chains and get them thinking stuff that's going to make them talk off the wall. Because people do it for views. I read the post to you that said, be careful who you follow, because there are people in it for the clicks and in it for the money. They've made hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last 8 years. Getting people pumped up over mystical crap. And sitting on pins and needles thinking something's going to happen. But I am saying we're going to have a big event. But it's becoming obvious to the entire world that there is mass criminality going on and that we have a duty to put a stop to it. So somebody say, I'm an excellent driver. McAfee, I was thinking about him too, David. I saw where Mr. E. P. Stein was brought up, and McAfee. You know, it's funny how nobody's been talking about him either. What if he was part of 17? I'm just surmising. Do you think McAfee? What's the correct pronunciation? But maybe he was involved. I don't know if he's still with us or not. I think it's well, we all know. Very few people know about the collapse of that Florida condo, all tied into McAfee when he was supposedly offed in Spain. That his son had a condo in there that was destroyed when that building came down. And a lot of people are saying that's why the dead man switch didn't go off, because they destroyed his skiff. He had a skiff in that, is the talk on the street. Now, that's not unreasonable way to think. What's the chances of McAfee being on the run for years, putting out messages that he had a lot of dirt on the deep state? Then he gets caught. Then they say he committed you-know-what Then that condo collapses that his son had a apartment in. Boy, there's so much stuff. Oh, now Julian was the entire Miss Sue, the entire time the 17th letter was posting. Julian Assange was under lock and key at the Ecuadorian embassy, and also round the clock being holed up in the UK. Television shows think Snowden. McAfee and McAfee. McAfee. Son, be a simple man. Remember that song? So anyway, well, the big story that people are focusing on now, they're what's so good about the mainstream media talking about this simpleton, filthy garbage is that people are going to reach out to find out more about this USAID scandal, because they won't report on it. People are going to want to know. So that gives creators a good opportunity to be realistic and put out factual matters. So what if there's discoveries about what I'm talking about? What if it turns out that the guy on the roof, what was his name? Oh gosh, what was his name? The one who was at Butler, Matthew Crooks. And they said he had these overseas apps and accounts on multiple devices that Apple wouldn't help the Justice Department get into, or so they say. What if that money gets traced to AIDS for Matthew Crooks? What if it turns out that this Ryan Ruth, is that his name? The one at the golf course? Turns out he's tied into. Whoa, wait a minute. What if the Pentagon turns out that they have been steering money towards radical ideologies and Well, you know they've been trying to overthrow their governments. Now, who would they go after to stop this stuff from coming out? You got J.D. Vance is all gung-ho for it. Trump, of course, is gung-ho for it. Hegseth is gung-ho for it. Oh, John Fetterman came out and said he wasn't going to vote for Tulsi Gabbard. And was it also Kash Patel? He said it was no. Did you all hear? Fetterman saying he's a no on Tulsi at least, and maybe even Kash Patel too. Is that what you all heard? So we're finding out all this earth-shattering stuff that to a normal taxpayer, a normal citizen, is stunning. And what is the mainstream news putting out? 300 people, 300 kids have AIDS now because of Donald Trump. Oh, and that airplane that disappeared near Nome, Alaska, has been found. Did you all hear that? That was about 2 hours ago. It disappeared off radar about 18 hours before that. Let's see, Gary's in Alaska. I saw a photo of the wreckage. Did you all see that photo? Because I'm bringing this up, of course, it's a terrible thing because there were 10 people on board. But just like with the 300 babies supposedly got AIDS because of Trump over in Africa somewhere, they're saying that these aviation disasters are because of Trump when he hadn't even been in office for 3 weeks. But the initial report I saw was that they found 3 bodies in the wreckage and no word yet on the other 7 people. So I said, oh, let me expand this photo of the wreckage. How far are you from Nome, Gary? So this plane crash was found 30 miles or so, 25, 30 miles from Nome, Alaska. But anyway, I looked at the wreckage, and both wings are present at the side of a remnant of the fuselage that looks like what was left of that fuselage. The most it could hold is 3 or 4 people. So I'm thinking that is where they found those individuals. And the tail section appeared to have broken off and flipped over to the front of the plane, which happens a lot, you know. The plane breaks in half, the nose stops traveling, the tail breaks off and flips over. You see that off to one side or the other, but ahead of the fuselage. So I'm thinking that the people were scattered. The remaining 7 were scattered and probably didn't survive. So not true. That was a fake wreck. I don't know what television shows. I don't know. I mean, I don't know anybody would want to be up in Nome, Alaska to get into this country illegally. That'd be a hell of a place to try to hang out or hide out. Be in some comfortable place like Florida or California. But now you heard that Ron DeSantis got all of his law enforcement in Florida deputized to be able to perform the duties of ICE. So if they're in Florida, they better get the hell out of there. Oh, really? 1,000 miles? You're 1,000 miles from Nome? Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's quite a ways away. I thought you were closer. But I don't know why there would be a notion that this plane wreck had anything to do with illegals. I don't know about that. I don't know what their story is. There was 10 of them supposedly in the craft. It disappeared for 18 hours, fell off the map. Nobody could find it. And they found the wreckage 30 miles from Nome, Alaska, and only 3 bodies present immediately. And I haven't got any updates. But they blame it on Trump, is my point. How the hell could a private plane crash up in Nome, Alaska be Donald Trump's fault? But they'll put it out that way. But anyway, it's also been disclosed that BLM was getting money directly from USAID. So in other words, our government financed all the burning cities and the riots and the mansions that the BLM leaders are living in. Yeah, that's right, Miss Sue. They're all gone. That's what I figured when I saw that wreckage. I don't know what the temperature right now would be in Nome, Alaska overnight, but it ain't somewhere we're going to be laying out there and make it. I'm trying to keep up with the chats, and oh, you're 500 miles away. I was like, well, why don't maybe I'm missing part of the conversation in chats. It's hard to keep a train of thought. Plus, the plane did not communicate through an emergency locator transmitter. You know, that's another report that I have. I don't want to go out and look at my reports that I saved because I keep dropping off the broadcast. For some reason, I'm having last night and tonight I've been having difficulty. But I'll go from memory that the chopper pilot in DC didn't have their emergency alert system on. Their tracking flight tracking system that would give them alerts and let you know when you're out of your designated path or when you've exceeded your altitude. Beep 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 beep. All that was cut off, and I believe it was out of arrogance. Whether it was a female pilot or male pilot, I don't know, but people can get arrogant. Like I said, I am the man who met the man that met Andy Griffith. Now get out of my way. I'm important. Oh, okay. Emergency locator. Yeah, that's what I was saying about the sub that the Titanic sub. Those things. I had to use one on a boat, a 40-foot boat, and you can buy them used on eBay. Do you know that this USAID thing, like Marco Rubio said, I'm a director. I'm in charge of Doge and what's going on. I'm in charge of what's going on in USAID because I'm the Secretary of State. Well, I heard today that Bill Clinton did some kind of dopey move or order or directive, not a formal executive order, I think. Hey, man, that removed USAID from the State Department and made it an independent agency. And then after the Clintons get out of the White House, get in trouble for trying to steal silverware, and you remember that. They ended up setting up the Clinton Foundation. How much money went to the Clinton Foundation from USAID and other government entities? Another report came out that George Soros's, oh gosh, I didn't scramble his name up, but anyway, if I get in trouble, fine. The radio stations that he bought are in trouble for giving heads up about ICE raids. So are we going to see something go down with that? Some people getting Tom Homan paying a visit with silver bracelets, obstructing of justice, interfering with investigation, aiding and abetting. He bought, how many radio stations did he buy? 125 or something like that? Well, a good number of them have been involved. Tune in to WB Soros and listen to the latest ICE locations so you can be safe. What kind of trouble you get in for that? I hope a lot. They were making fun of that kid for making that nickname up back when he was 16. And they're repeating it. I don't remember anybody being concerned about, what's his name, Romney. When he had a ghost account, he called himself Pierre Delecto. Pierre Delecto. That was dropped. What are we going to find out about him? What kind of direct messaging did he have going on underneath that name, Pierre Delecto? So they're sitting here worried about some young kid that came up with a nasty name, but he's a kid. Oh, that's right, Todd. Yeah, $27 million to the prosecutor fund. Yeah, I remember reading. I've got that in my studio, but I can't get to it. But you're right. And Letitia James is one of them. And that's why she's pursuing lawsuits against the Trump administration right now. She owes a debt. I was watching where that one doctor was saying there's a big spike in people suffering from anxiety, needing psychiatric treatment. And one thing one of the guests said is that they're finding out that their lives as they knew it are not going to function anymore. Remember what I said a long time ago about an artificial culture, artificial economy, this false sense of superiority that was held up, supported, propped up through government salaries that were unrealistic, undeserved, vacation days, no real supervisor, no real boss, no real job description. And I said it was thousands and thousands of them. I said, what are we going to do with all these people? I said there were two groups of people that were going to have mental problems. I said this a year ago. The young people that are being abused mentally and being psyoped into a dysphoric life. I said there were thousands of kids. I don't know what level of harm they'd suffered from testosterone and actual surgery or just psychological abuse. I said we're going to have thousands of people that are broken, that are going to need help. And I also said we're going to have thousands of people who are going to be lost because they thought they were capable, they thought they were intelligent, they thought they were in charge, but they were nothing but foot soldiers for the deep state, and they're helpless, and they can't perform a job, they can't perform a function, but they've been put in places strategically and paid off to perpetuate the deep state. We're at that time. We're here now. Just like that shrink said, their lives as they knew it isn't going to work anymore. They don't know what to do. If I was working for the government, somebody said, "Hey, we don't need you, get out of here," I would say, "Fine, I could have gone out anywhere. I could have driven heavy equipment. I could have, operated heavy equipment. I could have piloted boats or planes. I could swing a hammer. I could drive a truck. I could do anything, damn near." But what about these people? All they ever knew was the government. All they ever knew was, I said in the past, showing up and doing nothing, coming in late and leaving early, doing a whole day full of busy nothing. Now they don't even have to show up. They sit at home and do a whole lot of nothing. Man, what a day I put in today. What'd you do? Nothing. Somebody's got to do it. What are they going to do? Their income is going to dry up. If they're smart, they'll get to 8 months. If they're smart. But that's a misnomer, because they'd be doing something productive with their life if they were smart. But that ties into, why is there this push to constantly put up roadblocks for people who do want to be productive? No, you can't live off the grid. No, you can't have backyard chickens. No, you can't collect rainwater. No, you can't have a fireplace. No. Because they resent capable people. They resent independent people, because subconsciously they know that they're a slave to a sloth. They have no desire to do for themselves. And I've shown pictures of, the look on their face whenever a liberal sees somebody having a little more fun out of life than they're having. They can't stand it. And you know what? It goes back to the oldest story in the book. The book. You all think I'm being corny. Abel loved his life. He was happy in his work. He gave good sacrifices to God. He genuinely appreciated what God had given him. Abel, on the other hand, didn't like what he had to do, was jealous of the happy state Abel was in, namely that he had a good relationship with the Lord, whereas Cain didn't have a good relationship. Whose fault was that? It was Cain's attitude. Abel had a good attitude. Cain had a bad attitude. He begrudged God in his sacrifices. He had a chip on his shoulder. He was jealous. He was resentful. I guess he thought he was above all that. But Abel, in his humility, found happiness, peace of mind, enjoyed his life, was productive. Cain, in his pride and arrogance, drifted away from God. How did he think he could fix it? Attacking Abel. Does that have to do with everybody we deal with who is arrogant and non-productive? And maybe. But it sure does have something to do with a lot of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Or is that going too far? So somebody like Trump would set him off. Somebody who's driven, somebody who supplicates himself. Again today, he said he believed it was by the grace of God he's here. He's doing things for a purpose. He's sacrificed a billionaire's lifestyle for over a decade. I don't care who you are or how much security got around you. It's got to be nerve-wracking to embark on the endeavor he's embarked on, to go against the most evil, diabolical forces on the face of the earth. That has got to put a strain on you. And where can you find peace? Like he said yesterday, a nation is nothing without God, and neither is man. Woman or man, all men, women and men. So anyway, what is tomorrow going to bring? We're going to go into the weekend. With all these stories about what USAID is doing. And a lot of people who now have access to cyber sleuths who are going to be digging and finding out not just this crazy sensational stuff of transgenderism being taught around the world and $1 billion for this crazy experiment but they get into overthrowing governments, getting into assassinations, getting into mafia style crime. It's like everybody's playing Clue, right? But they have got resources and computer power at their fingertips now. So that's how people are going to be spending. Hi, Larry. How you doing? Sparky, how you doing? Karen, nice to see you. Spending their weekends, just like I used to say, inquiring minds want to know. People are nosy. But anyway, I've gone for an hour and 35 minutes. And I forgot to say again, I hope you all give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like what we're here, give me a thumbs down. Let me know something. And if you're not subscribed, why don't you go ahead and do that? I lost a couple of subscribers, and somebody lashed out at me, which is unfortunate. And I'll have to do what's best for this little channel and try to protect my reputation, because that's all we got in the end, guys. I don't want to have 25, 30,000 views because I'm spewing a bunch of fantastic nonsense. I want to have people realize what is really going on and what a intelligent, caring authority, what they're going to do, what is the best for this country and its citizens. Transparency, so people understand what's going on, and prosecutions of guilty people in a civilized manner. And that's coming. It ain't going to be pretty. Some people have done horrific things. Dr. Fauci got money from USAID. The Gates Foundation. So it is going to get sticky, folks. But we got to do what we got to do, right? Anyway, folks, I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me. And I will be going live. If something big happens, I'm going to go live tomorrow. Gary said, boom. Yeah. I hope there's some more booms, but I keep thinking that the weekends are for people to absorb news. So there isn't information overload. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the way the deep state used to do news in the past. If they wanted to get people distracted or start a news cycle, they would drop something on a Friday and have everybody talking about it over the weekend. But if something big happens tomorrow, I will go live. But if not, I will be going live probably Sunday night. So if you're subscribed and hit the notification bell, you'll know when I go live. And I know, Mr. Sue, sometimes people get themselves in a pickle. They don't realize they're getting themselves in a pickle. They don't mean to be trolls, but they, like I said, knee-jerk. Never do a knee-jerk move, you know? All right, folks. You all have a great night. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.